I'll be honest, do I think Theresa May is one of the weakest Prime Ministers we've ever had? Yes. Do I think she's tone deaf about her political prospects? Yes. Do I think she was cuckoo to call the election and lose the Tory majority? Yes. Do I think she should go and not stay? No. Please, no. We've been through enough. An election, a referendum, an election. The last thing me and Brenda from Bristol can stand is a leadership campaign, which is always what the Conservative Party does when it runs out of better ideas. If you Brexit, as the saying goes, you own it. Mrs May is partly responsible for the mess we're in. The Brexit clock is ticking away and she hasn't even begun on the other promises she made at the start of her premiership to do with reform of welfare, housing and the social contract, or anything else. She has to stay as long as the party wants her to and start to clear it all up.
Do you know, I'm a little bit confused here because the week after the election, my piece was Theresa May should stay. And I said everything you just said. I said she's cocked it up, she's made a mess of it, she's not going to be the best Prime Minister, but the alternative is too horrible to imagine and there's not anyone to take her place. 3 weeks after that, you did a piece where you said, let me just quote, you said, she's a puppet PM, a hostage to the DUP and the Tory skeptics.
And she has,
and she has to know. And you ended it by saying she has to go. And you even said to him when he asked you the question directly, should she go? And you said, yes, she has to go.
Yeah. So a week is a long time in politics.
Well,
you're talking about something that happened months ago.
I just thought you might have
irrelevant
had a
current
to Damascus moment and come round to my way of thinking.
Can I just have Rachel's back here because I remember that moment and I agreed. But no, listen.
Oh, but you didn't agree with me at the time.
They were bad times, right? It's like the damage has been done. Okay, there was a moment where you felt like we could maybe salvage the situation somehow, but it's done now. We're in this mess. Somebody's got to clean up. And I don't see why she shouldn't do it. She got us into it. The worst case scenario would be...
Jeremy Corbyn.
No, that would not be the worst case scenario. And actually, for me, you know what, just leave her there. She's showing how uninspired the Conservative Party is at the moment, how divided they are. They've got a job to do. They committed themselves to it. Let them get on with it. And you know what? Just let her
So your reasons for having Rachel's back are totally different from why Rachel wants her to stay.
I feel the same about Theresa May.
Let her make a mess of it and mess the country up.
No, I don't want to mess the country up. You've already messed the country up. So now we've just got to go through the motions of getting us to a place that is functional.
Can I just say,
do you think she's going to last till the next election?
Well, should we just see? I think the viewers might want to have a look at Theresa May, and you can see that she obviously knows that she's not obviously the first choice given in an ideal world, but there she is, and the alternatives are unpalatable. Let's have a look at her.
I said I wasn't a quitter, and there's a long-term job to do. There's an important job to be done in the United Kingdom. We stand at a really critical time in the UK. Yes, that's partly about Brexit and getting Brexit right, but if you think back to what I said when I became Prime Minister, when I stood in Downing Street, there are many other issues that we need to address.
I don't want to go back to Brexit particularly, but what we saw this week is really the Tory rank and file, or the people like Damien Green saying, we've got to back Brexit and Theresa May, otherwise we're going to get this.
But that doesn't scare them. The problem that they've got is that they tried that in the election.
It scares the Tories. Telegraph readers, but it doesn't scare the rest of the country. It doesn't scare the rest of the country.
I think... I hope she stays unless you could guarantee that Jacob Rees-Mogg gets it if she goes. Because if Jacob Rees-Mogg gets it, I think it puts the Tories into opposition forever.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. People like Jacob Rees-Mogg. They think he's an honest guy. They do. But
not as a leader.
But, you know, I think it's interesting what's happened to Theresa May since the election. She was vilified in the weeks after. I think people are changing towards her a bit now. I think they're softer. I think if there was an amazing candidate in the wing, she wouldn't be there. But the fact is, you know, look how politics have changed with Jeremy Corbyn. A year ago, people hated him. Now he's the strongest politician we have in the country. So people change. And I think people are on the verge of forgiving Theresa May.
I think you misunderstood my cue, which is I think that Theresa May has to stay because I think Brexit is going to be so damaging, she's going to go down with the Brexit ship.
I think you're wrong.
Brexit is going to take down anybody who is trying to execute Brexit
through
as leader. And thereafter, there will be probably, I don't think we're going to see a Tory government in my lifetime.
I think you're wrong. I think she is dogged. I think that's one of the things about it. She's not inspiring. She's not Mrs. Personality, but I think she's dogged, and I think that's good for Brexit.
She will stay. She will stay. She will stay. I would have thought minimum of 2 years. But what the Conservatives, like your brother, have done is what people like that always do in times of trouble. They call for nanny, and effectively Theresa May is like the nanny who's come along and will look after the party for the next 2 years. But I think the generation of the David Davises and others, I think their day has come and gone as a party leader. You will look to the next generation coming up. That will be probably in about 2 years' time. Next month's Conservative Party conference, which I know I'm going to, and I'm sure you're probably there, will be a very, very interesting affair. And if we were to have this conversation, say, the middle of October, when we've all had a chance to see whether she can rally the faithful, the message she gives, I still agree with Greg, she's going to be there. But the sort of time that she enjoys, the sort of policy, the sort of strength that she has behind her will be determined how she fares in Manchester.
The trouble is, it's very hard to move to the next generation while you're in government.
Yes.
You can do it in opposition, as you saw with lots of people. We saw with Blair, you saw with Cameron. It's very hard to do it in government. It's very hard to pick somebody who's not even in the cabinet and say, you're now the Prime Minister. So I can't see that happening, which is why I think she will survive and probably lead them into the next election.
Now that's where I don't see. I can't see them because she's a loser. I mean, the Conservatives are nothing if not brutal.
Yes.
I mean, they exist for power and stabbing each other in the chest. That's the best fun of entertainment that they have.
But who?
No, but I don't even say.
I'm trying to think of a more pleasant way of putting this, but to me, there's no point polishing a turd. The situation.
Sorry, I mean, honestly,
it has to be said.
Potty mouth.
There's nothing good about the current situation. I think everyone on both sides.
What you said about Lord Nelson quite.
It's
your daughter
bad.
with that mouth.
It's
That's
bad.
outrageous.
Oh, please. The faux outrage is killing me.
Very nice. And that's
it's not very nice.
You guys
it's not
would
a
have
very nice situation.
for having a go at another woman saying something.
No, I'm not talking about her, Carol. I'm talking about the political reality.
You just called her a turd.
No, not her.
No, let's
Carol.
not use that word.
Not her. The political reality. And in a way, why let anyone else get tarnished by it? Somebody's got to ride this out. It's unpleasant. It's depressing. There's nothing inspiring. It's
Brexit
toxic.
is toxic. You mark my words. You two will be agreeing with me in about 6 months' time.
Which is why no one else is rushing to become Prime Minister.
Nobody wants it. Why did Cameron scarper from the steps of Downing Street 5 minutes after the referendum? He knew I didn't want to. This was the end.
He's a coward. He should have stayed.
It will finish more political careers than I've had breakfasts.
Well, we can't let her get away with that. It's not going to happen. It isn't going to happen. Brexit will happen, and the people who will get us a bad deal.
We will officially leave the EU, but Brexit can't happen in the same way.
Well, it can. It can if we do exactly what people asked for was to leave the single market and leave the customs union.
No, they didn't. No. They said leave the EU, and we've got the Labour Party saying what that could also mean staying within.
What they really said was we don't want free movement of labour. That's what they really said.
There was one thing on the ballot paper: leave the EU.
Yes.
Well, exactly. We can tell everybody
we've left. People knew what it meant, Rich. You guys can't keep on saying people didn't know what they were voting for. Yes, they did. People aren't stupid, and they knew what they were voting for.
Carol, we could talk about this till the cows come home. I suspect we will be.